We are on. All right. Good evening. I'd like to convene the March 23rd special board meeting. Please let the record reflect that all board members are present and Cassandra Sage is participating remotely. And so, to begin, our meeting this evening is for one purpose, and that's selection of superintendent. I first would like to thank Dr. Jane Staven for her leadership for the past 2 years. Whereas we all expected this would be a longer partnership, we support her desire to be nearer her family and understand her decision to leave at the end of June. On behalf of the whole Lake Washington School Board, thank you for your leadership, and we wish you the very best with your family. And so with that, I'd like to just give an introduction first and just some background. One of the school board's main responsibilities is to select a superintendent who, in partnership with the board, is responsible for the operation of the district and to implement the community and board's vision of every student future ready. As a board, we take this responsibility very seriously to find the right superintendent at the right time for what is best for our students right now. 2 years ago in 2018, we found ourselves in a similar situation. At that time, we evaluated how best to move the district forward, build stronger partnerships with community and businesses, and to further the work to ensure equity, opportunity, and inclusion for all students. At that time, we chose to conduct a national search for a superintendent. We actively engaged with the community to hear about strengths and challenges of the district and what qualities were desired in the superintendent. We interviewed a select number of candidates, and we succeeded in our task by hiring Dr. Jane Staven in August 2018. In our first year with Dr. Staven, in collaboration with staff, students, and community, we developed Lake Washington School District's strategic plan, the how we would elevate our work to accomplish our vision, and the results we expected for every student to be future ready. We have just begun carrying out the how of the strategic plan, which is the superintendent's responsibility. And there have been organizational changes, new staff hires, passing a capital levy, and investments in key areas. The foundation is in place to make significant progress and to continue to build on the work that has been done to ensure an excellent public education for all. At the same time, a few weeks ago, our world changed dramatically with the COVID-19 pandemic. We are experiencing one of the most disruptive times most of us have ever felt. And this reality has caused us to close schools, alter our work and personal relationships, and redefine the role of public schools during the public health emergency. This is not a short-term event. It requires solid teamwork and effective partnerships with our community and other local jurisdictions. Having just received an update, staff are working to ensure that basic needs are addressed in collaboration with the community and our neighbors, that staff's well-being is also addressed, and that we continue to support our families and students, both educationally and emotionally. All of this with changing guidance from the local, state, and federal level. It is a challenging time to navigate. With the announcement of Dr. Staven's resignation on March 6th to take a position nearer to her family and aging parents, the board proceeded to review the community feedback and reports available from the national search in 2018. We analyzed the current state of the district, where we were at, and what were the priorities going forward as stated in the strategic plan and our results. We discussed qualities for a superintendent and evaluated options for finding a superintendent and the impacts of our current reality. With that, the board met in executive session on March 17th to evaluate the qualifications of an applicant for public employment. And with that summary, I will now entertain a motion.
I move that the board enter into negotiations to hire Dr. John Holman as our next superintendent.
Second.
It has been moved by Director LaLiberty and seconded by Director Carlson to name Dr. John Holman as our superintendent and enter into contract and negotiations. Is there any discussion?
If I may go first.
Let me know when it's my turn.
Director LaLiberty.
Thank you. I think Director Beliesner touched on this, and that when we make decisions as a board, the question that should be foremost in our mind is what is best for students. And what we face as a district over the next 6 months, maybe even longer, the challenges are going to be immense and they're immediate. And under that standard, I'm thrilled that we have the opportunity to hire Dr. John Holman to guide our district over the next 6 months, 6 years, probably not 6 decades. And he is, for the past 3 years, he has served as the deputy superintendent of this district, a high-performing 30,000 student district. He is not only the best choice for our district, he is a top-level candidate for any district, and I am thrilled that we have a wonderful candidate that we're able to hire for our next superintendent.
Thank you. Director Carlson?
So there's going to be overlap. In a perfect world, whenever an important decision needs to be made, every parameter can be measured and taken into account. But as the last few weeks have shown us, we do not live in a perfect world. The COVID-19 crisis has forced local, state, and national officials to take many important decisions with highly imperfect information, if they have information at all. Nonetheless, I'm confident that our leaders at all levels are trying to make the best possible decisions on the basis of whatever information is available to them. Unfortunately, in the midst of this broad public health crisis, our district is in need of a superintendent. I cannot speak highly enough of Dr. Stavum's district leadership in the past 2 years. She's truly begun to transform the system in important ways that we, the board, had asked of her. Although I fully understand the changes in her personal situation that motivate these changes, I have to admit I am still frustrated and hurt to lose her leadership long before I ever expected this could happen. So tonight, as a board, we're voting to take action regarding the vacancy in a context that we neither anticipated nor enjoy. This is a critical time for us at Root to keep the best interests of students at heart. So what are the factors behind my thinking on how to solve the current problem? The first is that we just cannot pretend that the pandemic around us is not an important factor. Our teachers, staff, and principals throughout the district are grappling with unprecedented school closure, trying valiantly to provide the best education that they can, but without face time with their students. We need to ensure that they continue to receive the administrative support that they deserve and expect, and we can't afford the time that it would take for a new superintendent to take over if they weren't already familiar with the district. Now, more than just steering us through the unpredictable school year, we need someone who's committed to the initiatives that we've encouraged Dr. Stavum to develop over the last 2 years, most particularly initiatives around equity and inclusion, as well as, I have to admit, the radically welcoming culture that she's introduced I'm a big fan of this concept. So every time that I've seen an unfamiliar superintendent take over a district, there's an unavoidable pause in the motion of the district for a year or more as the new superintendent gets to know the local culture and as the locals grow to trust the new superintendent. Speaking as a board member, I do not want to pause our equity and inclusion initiatives, nor to disrupt the positive cultural changes that Dr. Stavum has begun to work on us. In a perfect world, we would conduct another national search for a highly qualified superintendent who could fill Dr. Stavum's shoes. In the real world, as Siri noted, we ran such a search just 2 years ago. We listened carefully to the community, and our finalist candidates were all of exceptional quality. Fortunately, we were able to hire the best. Conveniently, this year, another large district here in Washington has done us the favor of running a nationwide search, and Dr. Holman is a finalist in their search. This provides clear evidence that Dr. Holman is among the most qualified superintendent candidates currently available nationwide, not just here in the state. Assuming that he would be a finalist in our district, if we were to conduct our own search, his intimate knowledge of the district would clearly elevate him above any external candidate. There's just no competition with that. So I don't think we could reasonably expect to recruit a stronger candidate for Lake Washington. On the converse side, conducting a nationwide search would cost us at least 2 years of lost momentum on the initiatives that we've begun as a district. A year under an interim while we conducted a search properly, and a second year during the first year of an unfamiliar superintendent, winning the trust of the I almost said congregation, but winning the trust of the organization. Under Dr. Stavum's leadership, I've watched Dr. Holman grow dramatically as a leader, and I believe he's the best qualified superintendent we could possibly hire for our district, especially in this time of crisis. More than his qualifications, I believe in Dr. Holman's values. As a superintendent, in the coming year, he will be responsible for numerous decisions that have never before been taken, much less contemplated. How can we implement distance learning for all? How do we handle student quarantines? What can we do to minimize the disruption of student learning in a world that's changed so dramatically? And whatever dilemmas he faces, I am absolutely certain that he will take each decision he makes with the best interests of all of our students at heart. So when I vote tonight, it's not because Dr. Coleman is the most convenient candidate, but because I believe he's truly the best candidate to lead our district through the coming decade.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Director Sage?
I'm getting good at unmuting my microphone. After those two remarks, I won't repeat things that they've already said, but I would like to reiterate that the strategic plan that we have going forward, Dr. Holman was an integral part of, and I have confidence that he is the person that can make this happen for us, working together with the board, and I look forward very much to him being superintendent.
Dr. Stewart?
I agree with many of the sentiments that have been expressed already by various folks. I have no doubt that Dr. Holman has had years of experience with this district. I also have been contacted by numerous parents with a desire to have a national search. And despite the fact that we have a very short time frame, despite the fact that we have a pandemic, I still believe that it could have been accomplished. And for that reason, I think that we should have one. John may very well have emerged as the top candidate, but I'd rather not depend on someone else's search in another district to mandate our decision.
Any discussion or comments? So with that, I will call a vote on our motion to name Dr. John Holman as the next superintendent of Lake Washington. Yes, Director LaLiberty.
I may clarify, the motion was to enter into contract negotiations with Dr. John Holman.
To enter into contract negotiations with Dr. John Holman. Yes, that would be our next step.
I think he has to accept still.
That would be required, yes. So what I would now ask is that we must take this vote by a roll call vote in accordance to RCW 28A.330.020. All elections of a superintendent must be done by a roll call. So I will call your name, so please cast your vote at that time. Cassandra Sage?
Yes.
Eric LaLiberty?
Yes.
Mark Stewart?
No.
Chris Carlson?
Yes.
And Siri Bleasner, me, yes. With that, we have 4 yes and 1 no. So with that, motion carries. So thank you very much. We will start that process of doing contract negotiation, and for our next superintendent of Lake Washington School District being Dr. John Holman. Any other comments? You look like you're thinking, Director LaLiberty.
I was thinking if I had any other comments. No, that's it.
Okay. Anybody else? All right. Well, I want to thank you all for the process and going through this. I know there's been a lot of discussion and things in doing so. It is an exciting time to look forward, and there's a lot of work ahead. So thank you. And with that, I will now entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by Director LaLiberty and seconded by Director Carlson to adjourn. All those in favor, please signify by voting aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Meeting is adjourned.